Hello, my cookies. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for joining me. Today, I got a great show. I'm doing one of my favorites. Again, it's kind of like I only do my favorites. It is a tomato and eggplant soup. You puree it up and you've fried some of your eggplant. You crisp up a little bit of ground lamb with some Ras El Hanout. Put that as a topping with some cilantro. It is so good. I love it. There's no cream. There's no dairy. I guess you can make this vegetarian or vegan even without doing any of the lamb, but I love that lamb flavor. Let's gather our ingredients. I've got a half pound of lamb right here. Ground lamb. We're gonna need olive oil, diced tomatoes, whole bunch of garlic cloves, 5 onion, Ras El Hanout. Now, this is a Moroccan spice blend. If you don't have it, something like Hawaj, which started as Yemenis, but now more associated with Israel, is a fantastic substitute. And if you don't have either of those, pretty much it's a combination of some really warm spices. I'm also going to be using the eggplant, some roasted red peppers, some cilantro, and then some optional ingredients I have here will be some smoked paprika and some Aleppo pepper if you want to add a little bit of spiciness and a little bit of smokiness, which I will and do. And of course, the most important ingredient of all, salt. First, I'll do my garlic. I got 5 garlic cloves here. One of the best things about this recipe is it can be scaled. I'm not going to make a ton of soup, but you can absolutely double this recipe and wind up with a whole bunch. All right, I got a small, well, this is a regular onion, but you want it pretty small like this. Sometimes they sell them in the size of softballs. And I'm just going to chop it fine, keeping it separate from the garlic because they don't go in at the same time. Next up is my eggplant. I like to peel it. Now this will start to oxidize. I'm not worried about it. We're gonna brown it up anyway. You want about 1/2 inch. Now if you're not a fan of eggplant, I assure you, you will be if you make this soup. And roasted red peppers, I'm just gonna do 1 or 2 depending on the size. These are roasted red peppers packed in water. Seems like I'm gonna be using about 2 of them. You don't have to pat them dry, don't fuss. Just gonna do a pretty rough chop here. There we go. All right, we're gonna keep this meat pretty simple. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook the lamb up. We're gonna take it out with the slotted spoon, and then in that residual fat, we're gonna fry up our eggplant. We're gonna take that out. We're gonna build our soup in the pot, same pot. We're gonna get all that flavor. We're gonna puree it up, and then you're done. You got yourself a soup. So I'm gonna put probably 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can always add a little bit more later if you need it. 1, 2. And I'm just gonna heat this up over medium-high heat. Let it get hot, let it get shimmering, let it get almost smoking. Yes, I'm using extra virgin olive oil. Yes, you can sear and high heat cook with extra virgin olive oil. So while we're waiting for it to get hot, I'll mince up some of my cilantro here. I love cilantro, so I'm gonna be using at least 3 tablespoons minced cilantro, or chopped fine. Doesn't need to be perfectly minced here. Our oil's good. I can smell it. That means we are hot enough. I'm going to add this is about a 1/2 pound of ground lamb. Adding it in. Season up with about 3/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. If you're using table salt, use less. I'm going to break it up. Don't worry too much. Don't fret about getting good browning on this. You're not going to get good browning. You're just going to overcook it. Don't worry about that. Perfect. We got the majority of the pink gone. And I am going to add my teaspoon of Ras El Hanout. Oh, that's fragrant. That's great. This only needs about 30 seconds. As soon as it gets really fragrant, you're good. Turn the heat off. Take your lamb out. I'm actually going to add a little bit more olive oil, 1 or 2 tablespoons here. Now we're going to heat that back up. Now I got this cranked over high heat. This eggplant's really going to suck up all this oil. It's crazy. Gonna cook it around, gonna brown it, and hopefully they release a little bit of it. Again, this is 1 pound of eggplant, and it's cut between a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch in size. Doesn't have to be perfect. Do your best. Look at that, dry bottom. It has soaked up all of that oil. It is just crazy. Medium-high heat. I'm gonna try and get it browned on all sides. I'm gonna put maybe 1/4 to a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I am gonna add a little bit more oil because I don't want the stuff on the bottom to stick and burn. It's another tablespoon of oil. Non-stick's probably best for this, but I like doing 1 pot. So now we just gotta wait for it to brown. It's gonna take take upwards of 10 minutes, 5 to 10. All right, look how much that eggplant is really shrinking. This is exactly what we want. All right, we're getting a lot of brown in here, but it's sticking to the bottom. If this happens to you, that's fine. I'm gonna put in a little bit of chicken stock. You can put in a little bit of water. I'm talking 1-2 tablespoons. I'm gonna add a couple more tablespoons chicken stock, deglaze, and I am going to take out my eggplant. Then we're gonna start building our soup. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of oil in there and my onions at the same time. I'm just gonna sweat them down. It's gonna take 3 to 5 minutes. Medium heat. Let's get my onion in here. Just gonna scrape up all this flavorful brown. I'm gonna get it in the soup. Very nice. There is nothing better than sauteing onions, some lamb fat. Oh, I think this is the most important step to be patient on, because if you don't sweat them down, saute these onions enough, your soup will taste super oniony. I don't like that. Next up, our seasonings. We're doing some garlic here. It was the 5 garlic cloves. I'm gonna be doing a teaspoon more of the Ras El Hanout. And I'm gonna be doing maybe a little bit less, a scant half teaspoon of this smoked paprika. It can be pretty potent. You just want to cook it until that garlic is nice and aromatic. It's going to take at least 30 seconds, maybe 45. Very fragrant here. Look at that color. It's starting to stick though. I got a 14.5-ounce can of diced tomatoes. It's drained. Let me get that in there. I'm going to get my roasted red pepper that we cut up. And that's going in there. And then the majority of this eggplant, you guessed it, it's going in there. I am going to leave a very little bit, maybe a half a cup for a nice topping. Perfect. I've reduced heat to as low as it will go. You don't want to burn the bottom of this. You kind of want to cook it and get those flavors to melt. This isn't going to take long. This is going to take upwards of 3 minutes, maybe no more. You really want the eggplant to be softened through as well. I am going to add some chicken stock. You can absolutely use veg stock here. You can also use water. I wouldn't suggest water. You're going to dilute the flavor, but you're going to want about 2 cups of chicken stock or broth. I think our flavors have melded by now. I got nice consistency here. I'm going to add the chicken stock, which will essentially stop the cooking until we can heat it back up. Now, I like doing it this way because I don't like boiling hot liquids in my blenders. So now, yes, it's hotter than not, but it's not tremendously hot. And I can puree it up. Then we're going to get it back in, reheat it, serve it. Remember, it's still going to be hot. It's not boiling. It's one time in the restaurant, I mean, we had to puree 10, 15 gallons of soup. And one time the lid popped off. Boiling hot soup went all over my neck, my coworker's head and face and neck. No bueno. Everyone was fine. So make sure you're holding the lid down. Here we go. Look at that. Just a gorgeous red. We'll get it back in our pot. Don't worry about these other little things in here. You can wash out your pot if you want, but it's not a huge deal. All right, now I'm just going to heat this over medium-low heat, stirring it just to bring it up to temperature. And while I do that, I'm going to put together my little topping. I'm going to do some of the lamb. I'm going to do some of this chunky eggplant. Do a whole bunch of cilantro. I'm allergic to nuts. I don't do nuts. I don't do soy. So if you've watched me cook, I avoid those things. However, they can be fantastic here. Some toasted and chopped pecans, some toasted and chopped almonds in this topping will add some really nice crunch. I'm not going to do it because I can't eat it. All right, our soup is hot. Let's get it. Gonna get a nice little topping on. Remember, even if this cooled down a little bit, this hot soup is going to heat it back up. Ooh, I almost forgot. You're going to want to serve this with lemon wedges. I love lemon at the end. It really brightens things up. It brings out those flavors much like salt does. So I'm just going to do a drizzle here. Voila. Look at that. 100%. If I had a restaurant, I would serve this. All right, here it goes. I'm going to get a little bit of this topping, a little bit of this soup. This is just so good. It's really nicely seasoned. The soup itself is creamy. Nothing is a dominant flavor there. They're all just kind of together. And then that Ras El Hanout kind of starts to build. And if you get a little bit of the topping, boom, the cilantro comes in. You get this texture from the meat, this rich lamminess comes through. These hunks of eggplant, and they just give really nice texture. It's almost like a pasta. If you want to add some spice to it, get some Aleppo going on top right now. It's perfect. Look at that. I'm serious. I'm going to go devour this thing. Sorry. My wife's looking in. Derek, the intern, he didn't show up today. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like what you see, you can follow me on Twitter Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. The links are down below. I really appreciate it. As always, keep cooking. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you next time.